guys, Pre-Tip Friday. So I do a little run through of my router plane jig here, and so that's what I'm going to do. It's fairly simple, as most of you can see. It consists of two straight edges. These are just made out of strips of MDF. Yes, I'm ashamed to admit that I allow sheets of MDF in my shop. But hey, it has its uses. But I hate it ultimately. It's great for making straight edges like this. So I ripped a couple strips of 6-inch MDF, just staggered the joints, 8-foot strips, and then I staggered them 4 feet so that I could get a 12-foot long straight edge, and then I just glued in 4-foot pieces kind of where the little joints were, right? And then I just put glue in between the 2 layers and stapled, with a bunch of staples. You could use pins, whatever. And then once that glue sets up, it's pretty straight, and I just ran it through the jointer to make sure that the edges are nice and straight. And then you get yourself a couple of cheap, easy straight edges. Those screw onto these little 45 blocks, which are just scrap pieces of 4x4 that I've just screwed on here just to keep the straight edges, perpendicular to the base. And then the base is just a couple of chunks of 4x4 that I've just laid across on these, little cheap little saw stools, which are just made out of 2x10 and some plywood gussets. They're really handy because they're like a step stool around the shop. They're also a stool for sitting on, and then they're great for cribbing up, because you put a 4x4 across, then you can lay, 5 or 6 different timbers out here if you're cutting a whole bunch of big pieces. So once you got your straight edges set up, you put your sled on here. And this sled is just a big box. Made out of MDF. Screwed together. I don't even know how big I made this. Yeah, so 6-inch strips, and then I screwed the bottom on there, so it's 6 3/4 total. And in the bottom, you cut a slot in the box. And that holds the bit for my router, which is a 1-inch diameter, straight fluted bit. I think it's 1.5 inches deep, and then it's got a top-mounted flush bearing on it. You can get narrower ones that have a top-mounted flush bearing, whatever's available. This one works really well. The wider it is, the more wood it cuts with each pass, so the longer it takes, the less time it takes, to plane the surface, right? If you had a 1/2-inch diameter one, it's going to take you twice as long as this one. So I recommend that, and then that just sits right in that slot, and this box is just the width of the base of my router, with like not even a 1/16 kind of wiggle room, just enough so that it slides. And because your base, if you build your box like this, where your router base is tight in there, honestly, you don't even really need this flush bearing, because the router is going to kind of sit in between these 2 straight walls, and it's not going to, go anywhere inside the box. So that's just kind of an extra precaution. So once you got your 4x4s all set up, I set my 6-foot level on these straight edges, level them, shim underneath them on the 4x4s. If you need to shim them up, do whatever to get them nice and level. And then once you have one level, I level across, right? Level that one so that we're level across this way as well. And then I'll level across on that end and bring it up, and then obviously that will be level once you've done that. So you just shim up your straight edges so you know that they're nice, they're in line, they're flat. And once you have that done, then you shim up your slab. I've just got a 2x4 underneath here. And if your slab has a lot of twist in it, instead of leveling across this face at the front here and making that, parallel with your box, if you do that and the slab has a bunch of twist in it, right, it's twisting, you're going to have to cut a lot of meat off to get that twist. So I kind of split the difference. So I'll shim this up. So say say if this is parallel with the box right now, and then I go down and measure at that end, slide the box down, and I measure on either side, and say one's an inch lower than the other side, instead of taking an inch off the whole slab to get to that low spot, I'll twist the slab, I'll split the difference so that it's a 1/2 inch out there and then a 1/2 inch out here. And that way you only have to take a 1/2 of an inch off the slab, so you want to maximize as much thickness as you can. And then once you've done this, once you've planed across it, and you've got a nice flat surface, then all you have to do is flip it over, shim each side evenly, and then just set your depth to the lowest point on the other side, and then go across. You might have to do a couple of passes. I recommend only doing like 1/4 of an inch, maybe 5/16 deep cut with each pass. Anything more than that, and the router kind of wants that run in the track just because it's cutting so much wood. So the shallower each cut is, the easier it is to just manage the router going back and forth. It doesn't want to run away on you. So I recommend not getting too technical with it. Just keep it simple. Level, straight edges, a box that goes across, and a nice sharp router bit, and you can flatten any size slab. It only takes me about 20 minutes, not even 15 minutes, to just machine the top of this perfect, flip it over and do the other side. So unless you got like $100 grand to drop on some giant 52-inch wide industrial planer, this is probably your only other option. And all you need is a router and some scrap MDF. So it's pretty much the cheapest option you can get as well. So if you own your own router, I just showed you how to make a 60-inch wide planer / jointer for like $20 in materials. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. Please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed because I give free tips like this every Friday. So don't think you want to miss that. Be the highlight of my week. Tell you that. Anyways, I'm going on vacation now. I mentioned in the last video that I'd be sharing another video today about the future direction of this channel. I'm going to hold off on that until next week. So if you want to have a say in where this channel goes in the future, make sure you do not miss that video. That'll be coming out next Wednesday. Till next time, guys. Samurai out.